You know, my view of Bitcoin from 2012 on to 2020 was, it was cool, scary, dangerous, threatening, maybe revolutionary stuff, but I couldn't be bothered. And it wasn't until the world came to a grinding halt in March of 2020 that all of a sudden I had a problem. You know, my faith in the system, the overall economic and political system, was broken, and my faith in the money was broken. And now this became a billion-dollar problem, and I rediscovered Bitcoin once I had a gun to my head. And then I realized it isn't just an interesting, scary, random technology, but maybe it's the solution to the world's problems.
Despite being a brilliant and successful entrepreneur, it took a global pandemic for MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor to realize the precarious state of the world's economy. But once he did, only one solution appealed to him, and he has dedicated much of his time to telling the world about this perfect asset. Like Michael Saylor, a group of people also discovered the need to move away from the bad, wealth-eroding economy over 50 years ago. These were characters in Ayn Rand's 1957 novel Atlas Shrugged. Set in a dystopian United States where private businesses are subject to increasingly burdensome laws and regulations, the novel depicts the revolt against the repressive economy and plans to create a new capitalist society that prioritizes reasoning, honesty, productiveness, justice, and integrity. In the novel, railroad executive Dagny Taggart and her lover, steel magnate Hank Rearden, struggle against exploitation and wealth debasement until they hear about John Galt. This mysterious figure was urging other business owners to abandon their businesses and embark on a productivity strike to punish the looting authorities. When Satoshi Nakamoto created Bitcoin in 2009, he took on the role of Galt. The only difference is that Satoshi didn't ask people to abandon the economy completely. He only provided a way to remove your wealth from the grasp of the looters. Satoshi also took on the character of Rearden, who in the novel creates Rearden metal, an alloy lighter and stronger than conventional steel. With this essential tool in Galt's philosophy, the characters are able to escape the dictatorship regime and build a better society for themselves. While speaking at the annual Atlas Society Gala, Saylor, Richard Salzman, and Eric Weiss, the digital asset manager who orange-pilled Saylor, discussed the similarities between the events described in the 1957 novel and the current state of the U.S. economy. We will now take you to the panel's brilliant, eye-opening discussion. But before we do, please take a little time to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications if you are yet to do so. Also, ensure you drop your comments and observations in the comments section below, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks and enjoy the video.
So John Galt says withdraw your productivity, withdraw your talent from the economy because it is corrupt. And Satoshi said withdraw your wealth from an economy that is corrupt. In essence, Satoshi is saying that to the extent that you could build a multi-billion-dollar company, you could generate hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of profits, but if someone is elected that then triples the money supply, they steal 2/3 of all your labor for the last 30 years, and they do it in about a week. And so if someone can, in essence, steal everything you've done and everything you're ever going to do with the click of a button, then you can't win by playing that game. And so John Galt kind of said, well, we know we can't win no matter how hard we try, so we should just withdraw and go on strike. And Satoshi took a different point of view, which is, yeah, we know we can't win as long as we hold the currency of a corrupt government. So the only way to win is to create an immortal, incorruptible currency. And of course, the only way to make an incorruptible or immortal currency is to get the people out of the way. And so in essence, you end up with millions and millions of disinterested computers that can't do anything but process the protocol. And there is no discretion of a CEO or a corporation or a government in the midst of it. But both of them, you know, are heroic figures that said, you're in a no-win situation as long as you stay in a corrupt system. You need to depart the system. They had, one of them, you know, gives a solution of Galt's Gulch, and strike, and the other one gives a solution of shift your money to cyberspace. Small Bitcoin is reared in steel. It's the hardest material. Reared in steel was the hardest metal in the world, and small Bitcoin, the asset, is the hardest asset in the world to build an economic structure. And then the network, the big Bitcoin network, is the John Galt line, a network to transport value built of reared in steel. And you know, if you think about all of the systems that are going into this, we're really building a machine, right? And Galt is all about that great machine, the motor, right? We're building a motor to drive the economy to a new level of productivity. Ultimately, if you believe in the prosperity of the human race or progress or the future of civilization, it's all going to come down to the ability to construct a machine to channel that energy more efficiently than we have in the past. And I think in both Atlas Shrugged and in the modern Bitcoin ecosystem, you have engineers building machines to channel energy. The only difference is in Atlas Shrugged, they don't have an easy mechanism to integrate the machine, you know, into the nation, and you have politicians seizing the lines and seizing the assets. Whereas with Bitcoin, the machine is spreading everywhere in the world outside of the control of the politicians and the corporations and the centralized governments. And I actually think that the Bitcoin network will succeed, where maybe the John Galt line was a bit more of a heavy lift.
And remember, similarly in Atlas, all the scare tactics, all the fear-mongering, reared metals of fraud, the bridge is going to collapse, this will ruin the economy if it's a bubble. I don't know if they said bubble or not. Similar against Bitcoin. You see that against Bitcoin a little bit? Yeah. It's a fraud. Only fraudsters use it. It's going to collapse. The analogy.
No one's ever used Bitcoin before.
You know.
No one's ever used reared metal before.
Yeah. And then few, Dagny, others, right, use the metal, demonstrate its worthiness. And that still doesn't convince a lot of people, but people on this panel showing that it works. And I love that analogy.
Yeah, there's countless parallels. I mean, both saw the problem, used their ingenuity to build a better solution, and then realized that the problem would collapse without them, and in a non-confrontational, non-aggressive way, realized the best way to let it crash is to withdraw and put your energy into the new thing. So just tremendous similarities.
Moving further in the discussion, Saylor describes more similarities between Satoshi's work on Bitcoin and John Galt's philosophy in the novel. To begin with, both are engineers and inventors who saw the wrong in the system and chose to give power back to the people. There is also the shroud of secrecy that surrounds both. John Galt is not identified by name until the last part of the novel. There is also a lot of speculation about his identity, often raising the question, who was John Galt?
A lot of people don't realize that Bitcoin wasn't the first crypto project. The other projects all relied upon some kind of oracle or some intermediary or some centralized agent of some sort. The things that were launched by, say, Nick Szabo before. And they abandoned all those projects because ultimately they all had an attack surface. And the attack surface was that corporation subject to regulatory capture or that entity. And so along, you know, who is John Galt, right? No, who is John Galt? He builds something and he disappears. Who is Satoshi Nakamoto? I think Satoshi realized that the only way for us to make this work is we have to build a system that is completely separate from the existing financial structure, the existing power structure. And so the heroic thing to do is he didn't raise money. He didn't do an ICO and raise $500 million to capitalize it, even though there was plenty of capital in 2010 for tech companies. He didn't keep any for himself. He didn't stick around, right? And he created something which, you know, Bitcoin, we've got this thing in Bitcoin called Pizza Day. And the significance of Pizza Day is the Bitcoin network fires up January 3rd, 2009, and then it trades with no value until about, what, May 2010, 500 plus days. And on pizza day, it's worth a fraction of a penny. Okay, so the price that was paid by Satoshi to create something that was virtuous and uncorrupted and uncorruptible was give up fame and fortune and self-interest and expedience and any kind of get-rich-quick or simple notion, and do it the hard way, and do it in such a way that, what do you get if you mine Bitcoin? You get more Bitcoin. What's that worth? Well, it's worth nothing initially until people decide that having something which is incorruptible and immortal and orthogonal to the entire corrupt $500 trillion financial system is something they might want to join in on. And the risk he took was, well, maybe people won't want to join. Maybe people won't believe in freedom and sovereignty and truth and, and self-determination through cryptography. But maybe they will. And Pizza Day was that first, okay, it's worth a couple of fractions of a penny. And then it's worth $1, and then it's worth $10, and it's worth $100, and it's worth $1,000, it's worth $10,000. And so today it's alive, and it's something. But it was able to be bootstrapped without a CEO or a board of directors or a headquarters or a nexus or any early founders. And therefore, it does have this characteristic of incorruptibility. You could hold the gun to my head and tell me to change Bitcoin or you blow my head off. I can't change it. It's incorruptible, immortal, ineffable. You can say, by pain of law, shut down all your Bitcoin mining in the entire country. That happened about a year ago in China. They shut down half the network, had no impact, just a slight blip. The Chinese shut the entire thing down. You could shut it down in any state, in any country. You can't kill it because it doesn't have a head. It's a diffuse, decentralized swarm creature of sorts. And the price that we paid, was paid by the early cypherpunks and by the true believers and Satoshi Nakamoto, which is the selfless act of giving this incorruptible, immortal, fair, equitable network to the world without any fiduciary gain or interest and without any original sin. And where do you see that happen in the Western world? Occasionally, and when it occasionally happens, something good comes of it. And that's the story of Satoshi.
Satoshi's secret identity and forfeiture of fame and glory remain among the best things about the network and cryptocurrency industry. Have you read Atlas Shrugged? How do you think the events described in the text compare to what is currently happening around the world, especially in countries like Sri Lanka, Lebanon, Venezuela, Turkey, and Argentina? Please drop your thoughts as well as your comments on the panel's discussion in the comments section below. Also, ensure you've hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.